Encountered a cult? Not going camping alone again. This is a long one, guys, but it's worth the read. Really freaked me out at the time. If anyone has a solid idea of what this was, or if they have had a similar experience, I would love to hear it. This happened to me a while back when I decided to go on another camping trip alone. I always liked camping alone. There's something serene and sobering about being isolated in the middle of the wilderness, and I always found it relaxing. So I planned out what trail I was going to take, packed my camping gear and my rifle for protection, and jumped in my truck. I get to this trail early in the morning and hike about 15-20 miles in until I find the right spot and head off the trail to find a place to put my tent up. I stumble upon this nice-sized clearing and decide that it's a nice, beautiful spot to settle down. I'm exhausted at this point, but set up the tent at the southernmost edge of the clearing next to the tree line and manage to get a fire going. I roast some weenies and start to hear a sound in the distance underneath all the forest noise. It sounded like an animal, most likely a deer, with a lame leg, as it sounded like the animal was making a walking, dragging noise. I felt bad for the poor guy, but it was too far away and it was getting dark, so I couldn't really go find it and put it out of its misery. Think nothing of it after that and go about eating my food. After I eat, I douse the fire and crawl into my tent and insert myself into my sleeping bag. I decide that even at my exhausted and relaxed state, I can't go to sleep, so I pull out a book I brought with me and start to read by the light of my lamp. Hours go by and I hear that sound again, this time closer, right at the opposite side of the clearing. Surprised, I put my book down and listen to this animal walk drag across the clearing towards my tent. It's really loud at this point, and it now sounds like the hooves are all being heavily planted, with the dragging noise following seconds after, like the deer is dragging something along. It makes it to about what I assume is the middle of the clearing and stops, and I hear nothing. No breathing. I mean, not a sound from this animal. I unzip the tent and look into the clearing. Nothing but trees and darkness. What the fuck? Unnerved at this point, I zip the tent back up and sit there listening for other noises. Nothing, just the crickets and the breeze. I decide that there are a lot of strange noises in the woods and tried not to let it bother me. Besides, I had my rifle. I start to doze off when I hear men's laughter off in the distance to my right, then women's laughter and sticks snapping far off to my left. I'm up now, wondering if what I am hearing is really what I am hearing, or just a product of being half asleep. I hear more faint laughing from a couple other different directions. All different, old men, old women, even children, and confirm that it's real. The noises are closing in, and I grab my rifle, preparing to fire a warning shot off in the air in case they came too close. Something about this laughter, how far in I was, the noise earlier, and the time of night told me that this was not just another family strolling through. I was on edge enough already, but then I noticed that the nightlife was dead quiet. Not even the wind was making any noise. I decided enough was enough. I unzipped the tent and fired a shot into the night. I sat there and surveyed the tree line, saw nothing. Listened intensely to my surroundings. No laughing, and the forest sounds had returned. Relaxing just a bit and figuring that scared whoever off, I sat down and in my exhausted state, I fell asleep. Yes. I wake up later in a cold sweat, racked with anxiety, and it was still dark outside. I immediately hear two people whispering not too far from my tent. Alert, grab my rifle and listen to what they are saying. I can't make out much, but I hear something about being lost, so I shout, "Hey, who's there?" The voices fall silent. I shout again, "Are you guys lost? Who's there?" Suddenly, a huge burst of flame, like a flamethrower, erupted from the middle of the clearing, illuminating several silhouettes of people just standing around. In shock, I fire my rifle, blowing a hole in the front of my tent, and it goes dark. Without checking my surroundings, I get up and sprint out of my tent, making a hard left back to where the trail was. I hiked until sunrise back to my truck, with my head over my shoulder the entire way. Never heard anyone follow me, never saw anyone or anything the whole way, but couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. After that, my enjoyment of camping alone left me like I left all my gear in the woods that night. Relevant comments. Fubai97B commented, "Wait, Did you blind fire into a crowd? Keep an eye on the local news for cops looking for information on a shooting, OP replied. I actually looked into that, and no reported shooting. Either the people I shot at weren't too keen on letting the cops know what they were up to, or I shot at nothing. Houghton035 commented. And when you came back to get your tent in the next day, no trace of anything? OP replied. I didn't go back. Old Tomoji commented. Could you tell what they looked like or what they were wearing? OP replied, not a thing. Only time I saw anyone was when the clearing lit up, and those were just silhouettes. So Many Dimensions commented, I don't understand how they could keep getting away without you seeing them. Makes me think they were not physically present. OP replied, when I heard the laughing, it never got as far as inside the clearing, and it's so dark in those woods. When I ran out of the tent, I didn't even bother looking around or looking back. I was just focused on getting the hell out of there. The thing that gets me, though, is if they ran away when I fired the shot, I didn't hear them do so. So Many Dimensions comments. The thing with the fire springing up and disappearing seems kind of impossible too. I mean, this was the middle of the woods, not a Hollywood studio. Based on what information I have, I think this was a residual haunting/scene playing out from the past. That would also explain why no one was replying, and you didn't hear them run away from the gunshot. OP replied, well, my thoughts is it could have been a flamethrower. I mean, that's what the fire emitting looked like. Why this group of people would have that 20 miles away from any main road is the question. See, I'm a big disbeliever in the paranormal, but this event was eerie. So Many Dimensions committed. I can't say for sure since I wasn't there, but your description didn't sound like you encountered physical people. I guess it's a mystery. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe to Reddit Dirt for more stories.